Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my bedroom, in the great state of Kansas, and we're continuing talking about my 100 favorite movies of the first quarter of the 21st century, basically from 2000 to 2024. I already did 100 through 76, so here we'll do 75 through 51 on the list. So let's start with number 75. This is Treasure Planet. This is a Disney movie that came out the early 2000s, I believe. One of the last 2D animated movies I think they made before they went full, kind of computer 3D animated. Anyways, and this obviously is a adaptation of the very popular book that's been adapted many times. Uh, what's it called? Treasure Island, and so many good versions of that, including the Muppets have a good version of that as well. But man, this one really surprised me when I went back and watched it again, and I really fell kind of in love with this and think it's one of the most underrated Disney animated movies they've ever made. Here we're taking the same story, but yet instead of being, old time pirate days, it's in the future and we're in space and we have space pirates basically, and we have things like cyborgs and talking animals and so forth, alien creatures, maybe robots, and we have a flying ship, in space, but it's the same story, but modified to be more futuristic and be a little different look at the story. And I really like Treasure Island as a story. I think it's a really good. I like the idea behind it and everything. And it's like the ultimate pirate movie. And yeah, this is great. I love the story of this boy. He doesn't know his father. His father used to be a sailor or something like that, and so he gets this treasure map and he gets on this boat. And the cook, who is a cyborg in this, in the original, he's look out for the guy with the one leg, and or I believe it is. And here he's got one leg, but he's also got a cybernetic like leg or something. And so I love that take on that character. Um, the villainous pirate name is Long John Silver, and I love that obviously he's kind of the pirate that's supposed to be the villain, but yet they kind of have this father-son relationship because he is Jack Hawkins, whatever the main boy that's on this boat. He gets signed to kind of help him in the kitchen, and neither one really want to do it. But then through it, he kind of mentors him, teaches him how to be a sailor like his dad was, and they form kind of this father-son relationship that's actually kind of sweet and nice. And I like all that. And the visually, I think it's great. Also, music, I think was done by the Goo Goo Dolls, and man, I love the music in here. It was really great. Yeah, and so I love that when they get there, and then all of a sudden you find out that Long John Silver's is the evil pirate, but yet he can't, hurt Jack because they formed this relationship, and he can't, So it's kind of this. He's supposed to be an evil pirate, but yet you kind of like him, and he liked the fact that he does have a heart for Jack Hawkins, anyways. And so I love the whole storyline and the relationship there, anyways. And yeah, just a really well done animated adaptation with a new spin. Number 74, I have Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, the second of the trilogy. Obviously, I'm gonna have all three movies in here. That was such a big movie experience for me as I was in high school, getting out of high school and college, and these movies were coming out. It is the best fantasy trilogy of all time, and story wise, and it still is being, different spin-offs are happening today because of that. And this is my least favorite of the three, though it's Lord of the Rings, continuing the story from the first one. You got the great special effects, the sound effects, the costuming, the makeup, the set design, especially set designs are so amazing. The score is amazing, love the characters. There's a lot of good stuff here. This one, they split off into kind of different stories where you have Frodo and Sam going to take the ring to Mordor, and then they run into Gollum, and Gollum kind of joins them, and they're forcing Gollum to kind of show him where to go. And then you have the other storyline, which is the other kind of three members that are kind of still around. Well, you got two. I guess you also got Pippin and Merry, who then run into the Ents, and you have that whole storyline. And then the other major one is the Legolas, Gimli, and Aragorn meet up with Gandalf, and that whole storyline. Anyway, so we got like three or so storylines going on, And for me, the Frodo, Sam, and Gollum storyline is very boring. I have to admit, when it's concentrated on that group, it's kind of a boring storyline. Lots of just walking and talking, and not a lot happening. I think that really hurts the movie. It very slows down when they're in, and this movie is very long, and those parts I don't care as much. Also, the Ents are very boring and slow moving. They talk very. That's a whole character. They talk very slow, and so those scenes are kind of boring too. But I do like it when we're with Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli. I like that trio, and with Gandalf, it's a good trio. That's where all the action is. They have some good action scenes, and then you have the really big action sequence at Helm's Deep. That like 30-minute, like the last 30 minutes of the movie is this huge action sequence in the rain and the dark, and yeah, it's incredibly done. And it's again, it's why the trilogy is so great. Visually, it's just amazing what they do with that scene. And at the very end, when Gandalf comes in down that mountain, that slow motion of them coming down and running into the orcs, it's amazing. Some visually, some really amazing things. I just think it's a little slow moving, boring at times. That's the only reason why I have it lower than the other ones. But still, Lord of the Rings, love it. 73, we have Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Yeah, one of my favorite Harry Potter movies. And again, we have a lot of Harry Potter during this last century, or first 25 years of this first 21st century. And I picked out a couple of my favorites of the series. It's probably my favorite, like, fantasy franchise, to be honest. I mean, Lord of the Rings is my favorite fantasy, but this, as far as the franchise, is just incredible how the whole story connects together from the first to the last. But this is kind of in the middle, the fourth book. And I think I liked it so much because I love the idea that it just changes everything from just, they go to school, they learn some magic, they're trying to start Voldemort, it's starting to come back or something, they have to do something with that, or there's, all this. And this one, I love the idea that, there's this Tri-Wizard Cup tournament that's only done every once in a while, and it's happening this year at Hogwarts, and you bringing in these new members from other schools in to compete, and how that's like a big part of the whole, school year is this Tri-Wizard tournament thing. I don't know, I really like that idea. It really changes up the story anyways, and makes it different than the other movies, I think. And I really like that. And I like the whole mystery behind Harry Potter. Why is his name in the Cup of God? I hear him. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm talking about specifics about the movie, but his name gets put in the goblet, but yet he's underage, so of course he didn't do it. And then they're like, did you do it? And he's like, no. Then who did? Because it's somebody who's very powerful magically would have to be able to put Harry's name in there. So it's a good mystery of like who did it, I like that. I like the new characters, like Mad Eye Moody is great. Great new character put in here. I know there's some other, as a Defense Against Dark Arts teacher. I know there's other really great. Voldemort. The first time we see Voldemort by Ralph Fiennes. What a great villain character that we finally get to see at the end here. That was such a great reveal. And all the I love the dragon sequence. I thought action-wise and visually, that was a great sequence where he was being chased by a dragon. And then the last one, when he's in the maze, is really great as well, of course. And then the whole Voldemort scene is amazing as well at the end, and how he gets away from that. And there's other characters you meet that's great. And there's a good twist at the end that you don't see coming that I thought was really amazing. And it's a really well-shot movie, too, I think. Overall, one of the best shot, I think, in the series. And yeah, it's just a great story. The whole thing is a great story, but this one's one of my favorite in the series. All right, number 72, we have Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. I'm a big fan of the Mission Impossible series with Tom Cruise. Especially episode 3 through 6, I think, is like the peak of the Mission Impossible. And this is the fourth one, I believe, out of that series. Third one I think was really great and really started something new with the series, and this continued on with the Mission Impossible storyline. I like the addition of Jeremy Renner put in the storyline here. I like how they have to kind of go rogue and going against the IMF. It seems like a lot of these kind of spy movies do, But I thought that was great. The villain itself wasn't as great as other villains, but the whole crew, of course, is very good. Like I said, like Jeremy Renner, Paula Patton here, also, and Simon Pegg, of course. I like that he's part of the group anyway. So I love the core group, and obviously has the big scene where they're Saudi Arabia or something like that, and he's climbing that. In real life too, he's like climbing this like the biggest tower in the world, and with these magnetic gloves, and then the mag gloves are going wrong. And just the fact that he's so high up, it's insane. So obviously that's the big scene. That's a great scene. But the movie overall, great action sequences. Again, great stunts, and also good humor throughout the movie as well with Simon Pegg, I think, and all the spy technology is great. I love a good spy movie, and that's why this has been so great. Anyways, and definitely edge your seat. Are they gonna save the day kind of moment anyway? So yeah, another great entry into the Mission Impossible series. All right, number 71, we have Deadpool and Wolverine, a fairly recent movie that came out, just barely made the list basically because I think it barely came out in time. I'm a big fan of the Deadpool series. Deadpool has been one of my favorite movie characters in the MCU. Ryan Reynolds is just nailing it as that character. He's so funny, uniquely, the breaking the fourth wall and everything is done so well. And just so many jokes, just they hit you with so many jokes over and over again. Very clever writing, I think. And this was so incredible that this is like the third Deadpool movie, basically, but they add Wolverine, which Hugh Jackman, Wolverine's one of the greatest MCU characters, and Hugh Jackman was so great as Wolverine throughout that X-Men series and his own series. And we never thought we'd get Wolverine again. He basically said he's retiring after Logan. And so it was kind of amazing that Ryan Reynolds got Hugh Jackman to come out of retirement, basically, of that character and play the character. I don't know if this would be his last time now, I suppose, but if it is, man, what a great way to go out. Deadpool and Wolverine the characters are so good together. They don't get along at all. It's this, kind of hate kind of relationship, with Deadpool being very goofy, Wolverine being very serious. And so it's a good, back and forth there. The story, I don't know if it's the strongest story I've seen necessarily, but they get there in the end. And it's mostly just about Deadpool and Wolverine being funny together, and the action sequences are great. And I love the other thing that makes it so good and makes it so rewatchable, I think, is these callbacks to other movies in the past of 20th Century Fox. And they bring back all these other characters from other X-Men movies and from other 20th Century Fox movies. I don't want to say, but the cameos are so good. I mean, all the cameos that come in were shocking when I first saw it. And I was like, wow, I didn't know he was going to be in this. Like, especially Channing Tatum. Channing Tatum was my favorite cameo because if you know the history behind him and that character, that was so wonderful. Like for the people that are in the know, that was so fun to see that. And the action sequence at the end there was really great. But yeah, this is just a fun action popcorn flick that I just never get tired of watching these movies. They're just so fun. So Deadpool Wolverine 71 here. Number 70, I have Transformers 1, another movie that came out fairly recently. It's an anime movie, kind of starting this new, I don't know if they're going to do any more, I hope they do, of the Transformers franchise. I like that it's going away from the live action. We've had all these really bad live action Transformers movies where I'm like, I don't want to ever see another Transformers movie. And so when this movie came out, I was not interested in it. Like, well, I don't want to see any more movies about Transformers. They just haven't been that great. I was so surprised how great this movie was. It's animated. It changes kind of the lore and kind of almost a prequel where we see the origin story of the Decepticons and of the good guys. I forget what they're called, and the main guy. But I love how they tell that story. You have Optimus Prime and Megatron back before they became like Optimus Prime and Megatron. They were friends. And so it's an interesting story idea of these people these machines, whatever, that were friends at one time and then become enemies, and how they got their powers. Like, I thought it was a really good origin story and all that. And interesting lore. They kind of get into this one part where they kind of find out the history of the Transformers and why some can change shape into to vehicles and some can't. And they kind of go into that. And yeah, it's just a really good story, actually. And then the action sequences are, I think, really well done. Really funny too. It's a laugh out loud. I like Michael Keegan Key, I believe, plays Bumblebee here, or B. Oh, he's called B-127. I think that's Bumblebee, but um, he's great. He's hilarious. But yeah, it's just a good combination of just a really fun anime movie with a really good story, surprisingly, and even the ending is so good. Like when what happens with the Optimus Prime character and how he gets his powers basically and has to fight Megatron. It's so good, and I just love the first time they transform. As a big fan of Transformers as a kid, I used to watch the Transformers cartoons. I don't know, I got some good nostalgia out of this movie, seeing them transform the first time and hearing Optimus Prime go roll out. It's like, oh, I remember that from back in the day. So, yeah, great cast of characters and actors and everything in here. So if you like Transformers at all, this is a must. This will bring you back to what Transformers used to be great, and this was great. All right, number 69, I have Source Code. This might be a little known movie, but it stars Jake Gyllenhaal, and he's a soldier who almost dies. You find out, during the movie, but he's still alive. And the military has like this way of taking his brain and like putting him in a past situation. It's hard to explain, but they put his memory into a past situation that he wasn't in. Basically, but that he's like kind of in the body of somebody else, basically, that was on this train and it exploded. There a terrorist attack on this train, and so he puts his kind of memories into this other person who's already dead, and somehow is able to replay this memory of him being on this train before it blows up. And basically, the military, operation, they're telling him, you have to try to find out where the bomb is and who set it off, so that we can figure out who it is. And if we can figure out who this is through the past, we can then find them before the next terrorist attack. So very interesting, sci-fi idea. I love these kind of ideas in movies of, being able to go into the past and try to investigate something so that you can save the future. It's a very interesting way of doing it. Jake Gyllenhaal is great in it as well. You got Michelle Monaghan is in here as well on the train, and I just love that it's one of those like Groundhog Day kind of Edge of Tomorrow things where if he doesn't figure it out and the bomb explodes, then he just goes back to the first part of the memory of being on the train. So he kind of relives this day over, not the day, but this moment over and over again in the train. And each time he's trying to figure out more clues on who in the train planted the bomb and all this. Who's responsible and all that, and where the bomb is. Of course, he can't save anybody because everybody's dead that's on that train. This is like a past event, but he's trying to, make sure it doesn't happen again. So yeah, it's a really good kind of investigation story where he only has a limited time each time he's there to figure out who did this anyway. So yeah, I just love it as a sci-fi story. Really great story writing, and even has some good emotional moments because he's also trying to figure out like what's going on. Why is he here? Why is his memory in this past where he's never been, and him trying to come to terms that he's like on his deathbed basically, and the military's using him for this situation and is ethically right and all that. And what happens to his he wants to meet his family and all that. Anyway, so there's a lot of great moments there for the character trying to figure out how to deal with the situation. And it's a really great, satisfying ending. Like I love the ending. It just the way they end it, you wouldn't see it coming, and you love it. So definitely, if you haven't seen it, see Source Code. Really great movie. Number 68, I have Collateral. This is a Jamie Foxx, Tom Cruise movie where Jamie Foxx is a cab driver who unhappily ends up driving a hitman played by Tom Cruise, who's there in LA to kill like 5 people that are witnesses to a murder or something like that, to try to help this mob boss get free in the trial. There's a trial coming up, and so he's trying to kill all the witnesses so they won't be there for the trial. And Jamie Foxx doesn't know this, and then when he finds out, then Tom Cruise kind of has him at gunpoint, driving him to each point where he can kill somebody. And oh man, it's such a great movie. Mostly because Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise are so good, and the scenes where they're in the car and they're talking, and about the situation, and Jane Fox is upset over this, and he's like, "Why are you upset? You don't know these people. I'm killing. They could be anybody." And a lot of funny conversations actually in there, some serious ones, and just the twists and turns that happen throughout the story is really great as well. And there's a little action in there. Good performances though, really great. Like Tom Cruise is so good. It's the best villain performance I've seen from Tom Cruise, who usually doesn't play a villain, but he was so good as a villain. And his scenes where he pulls out his gun, he's such a good, those scenes are so good, how good he is with a gun, and he's like truly a really great hitman. And yeah, I would say it's really well shot, really fun story, and a really good ending too as well. And just love the two characters together. Were great. All right, number 67, I have Despicable Me here. This one surprised me how much I really love this movie. It was kind of supposed to be kind of it really started Imagination, whatever the studio, which is now growing, being bigger, I think. And this is their flagship, kind of movie, the Despicable Me / Minion movies. And there's another Minion movie I think coming out this year. They made a lot of Minion movies, Despicable Me sequels, prequels, everything. They're really running this to the ground. But this very first Despicable Me is really a good movie. You have Steve Carell playing Gru, who wants to be this villain who wants to capture the moon or something like that, and be known as like the greatest villain or something like that. And he adopts these three girls because he needs them to get into this facility of this other villain, because they sell Girl Scout cookies. So he knows that this guy loves Girl Scout cookies. So he knows adopting these three girls, getting into the facility, he can get this gun that he can like shrink the moon or something. Anyways, so it's this whole plan he has. But what he doesn't know is that he's going to actually bond with these three girls, who at first he doesn't care about at all, their lives or anything. And I don't know, it was surprisingly very touching how they bond over stuff. And pretty soon you really love that these two, they have this real father-daughter relationship, and that he really grows to really love these children. And I didn't think it could do it, because it is very silly at times. The Minions are funny. I do love the Minions. Their scenes are very good. It's overall a very funny movie. But what really gets me is just the touchingness of the relationship between the two, and him, really loving these girls as a father, which he never expected. And, scenes where like he tells one girl, I will never let you go, or, and they hug at the end. Oh, it warms my heart. I don't know how to say it. It just really warms my heart. And so this is one of those really good, funny movies that's surprisingly very heartwarming. So that's why it's this high. Number 67, Despicable Me. Number 66, I have Zombieland. One of my favorite zombie comedies. I've talked about Warm Bodies before. It's one of my favorite zombie comedies. I really love Zombieland. It really surprised me. I'm not a big horror guy, but this really did a good job of combining the horror element of the zombies, a zombie apocalypse, with really good characters and humor. I do love all the main characters. We get Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, Emma Stone, Abigail Breslin. And to me, this is probably my favorite Woody Harrelson performance. His character Tallahassee is so fun. He's funny, he's cool, he's tough. He has great action sequences with the zombies. I don't know, I just love that character so much. I thought Woody Harrelson really nailed it there. And Jesse Eisenberg's great. It's the lead, is this kind of neurotic, scared of everything. That's how he survived the zombie apocalypse, is that he's just always been scared. And so he's always prepared to run away and to get out of situations. And he makes a list of rules of how to survive. And that's how he's survived it anyways. And of course, Emma Stone's always great. And Abigail Breslin here. I love how their names are the names of the places where they're from. Emma Stone's name is Wichita, which I was born in Wichita, Kansas. So I love that name. Wichita is her name. Yeah, it just seems like one great segment after another where they're, and I love Woody Harrelson's character is trying to find the last Twinkie, because he hadn't had a Twinkie in a long time. So that's his main goal. It's just a fun goal that he has. Every time they come across a store, he has to go in and see if there's a Twinkie in there. And their relationship is so good. I think Jesse and Woody, the Tallahassee Columbus relationship is great. And the zombies are really good. They actually have very good zombie effects. They're very scary still and very gruesome, and there's still some good gore in there. and all that. And there's a nice like little love story between Jesse and Emma in here as well that I like. But it's just those four when they get together. It's so fun, this movie, and so many good bits. And the best one being Bill Murray. I don't want to give too much away, but they're one of the best cameos you can say of all time. Bill Murray showing up and just hilarious. His scenes are so funny. What they do with that character, oh my gosh, it's one of the best things I've ever seen in a movie. I was not expecting. But yeah, if you like comedy horror, this is to me probably the best comedy horror I've ever seen. So that's why it's up here at 66, Zombieland. 65, we got Jesse Eisenberg back to back with The Social Network, which is probably his best performance he's ever given. The only time he got nominated for an Oscar. This movie nominated for like Best Picture, Best Actor as well, back in 2010. Probably should have won, in fact. And Jesse Eisenberg gave a great performance. He's the guy who created Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg, kind of his story of how he created the phenom of Facebook and changed, how we do social media. And social media is the biggest thing right now. We all have social media. I'm speaking on YouTube right now, and he's one of the major, kind of creators of social media. And Facebook is still widely used. I use it every day. And I remember when it first came out too. I was in college when it came out, and that was a big deal because everybody had MySpace at the time, and then Facebook came out, and everybody in college has Facebook, anyways, and that was a big deal. And then it grew and grew, anyways. So this was a real cool kind of retelling of the true story of how that, and it was surprisingly very interesting how it all started, and then the whole illegal trouble he had because he borrowed ideas from other people, and did he steal ideas? I didn't know that part of it, and that was very interesting. But it's one of those, I think it's Aaron Sorkin script, I want to say. Yeah, Aaron Sorkin here, David Fincher directing. Aaron Sorkin's so good at fast dialogue, and this movie is just fast dialogue. I think it's probably one of the best things about the movie is just the dialogue is so good, and the performances are really good. Like I said, Jesse Eisenberg, who's more of a comedic type actor, giving a real good performance here. First time I ever saw Andrew Garfield in the movie, and I think Andrew Garfield's one of the best actors today, and so it was cool seeing him first in this. Also, Justin Timberlake gave a really good performance as Sean Parker. In fact, I think you should have got nominated for Best Supporting Actor. I thought Justin Timberlake had so much charisma, and it was when I saw that I was like, man, Justin Timberlake, he's I think a better actor than he is a singer. Like I think definitely his acting. He's done a lot of acting, and I think it's almost would say is a strong point after I saw this movie. But yeah, just a really well done shot movie, very well paced. Yeah, really great story on starting Facebook anyway, so yeah. All right, number 64, I have The School of Rock. Yes, one of my all-time favorite comedies, one that I've rewatched so many times. I've seen this movie, it's so quotable. It is Jack Black's best performance by far, I think. He was just so in his element, like, do comedy and music, that's Jack Black. And it seemed like they just gave him, I know his friend Mike White is one who wrote this movie for him in mind, and perfect because the character it feels just like Jack Black, and Jack Black got to probably improvise a lot and do a lot of stuff, anyways. But it's such a fun premise of him wanting to start a rock and roll band, but then he ends up becoming a substitute teacher, and he takes these kids who are really good at music, he finds out, and creates a rock band with the students and has to hide it from the principal. But it's just Jack Black is just comedy gold. I mean, he's one of the best, I would say, physical comedians we've ever seen. And yet he's also very likable. And that's what's great about Jack Black is, again, he's one of those guys who be very funny, be very likable. And this is such a Dewey, what I think his name is Dewey, whatever. Such a likable character, even though he's kind of a loser. You just can't help but like Jack Black. And then but there's also some good heart in here where he actually learns to be a good teacher and actually mentors these kids in a way and gives good advice to these kids. So, and kind of really enjoys it. And he finds out that he really kind of forms this, relationship with the kids as a teacher that he wasn't expecting to have at all. And so that's actually kind of a nice moment as well. And then the concert at the end is so great, I think. Such a great sequence. And then the after credit sequence is so great too. It's one of the best after credit sequences I've ever seen. So, and it's also just a good kind of homage to rock and roll in a way, because this guy loves rock and roll. Jack Black loves rock and roll in real life. So I think if you like rock and roll, like this is a good movie for you. All right, so number 63, we got Mission Impossible 3, another Mission Impossible. This is my favorite, so this will be the last of the Mission Impossible movies, but this has been my favorite one. And it's funny, Mission Impossible 1 I thought was pretty good. Not a lot of action. And now I look back, it's kind of a boring movie because there's really not a lot of action. The second one was too overly action, too over stylized action, and not a very good story. It doesn't really work. Mission Impossible 3, though, they really nailed how to do a Mission Impossible movie where it's very action-packed. You got the good, interesting, story of, like, who's the bad guy, and who's behind it all. And they have to get this thing called the Rabbit's Foot, but they don't know what it is and how they do that. And all the mission stuff they have to do, the spy stuff they have to do is really great. The technology and everything they use. I don't know, this is a great combination of that. J.J. Abrams took over as director, and I think he did a really great job here. I think probably what puts it over top is the best villain. Although I kept talking about the villains have been kind of weak, I think, except for this one. Philip Seymour Hoffman is I think his name's Damien in here. He is so good. Obviously, Oscar-winning actor. I don't know if I've seen him in a villain role like this before, but he was so good. Those scenes where he's interrogating Tom Cruise, oh my gosh, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? But just the way he delivers dialogue, it's just so sinister, and you just go, wow, this guy definitely is evil. And so that's what really puts it over top. Great villain, but Maggie Q's in here, and there's a great group of core members that are joining, and we see what's his name? Simon Pegg. I love the addition of Simon Pegg, who will be in throughout the series to the very end. A great character that not in as much in this one, but I mean, you got Lawrence Fishburne in here, Michelle Monaghan, Ving Rhames comes back, Jonathan Rhys-Meyer, Billy Crudup. I mean, it is a really great cast overall, and yeah, just great action. Like one of the most, it's like a perfect spy action movie. That you're on the edge of your seat. So yeah, I absolutely love Mission Impossible 3. Number 62, we have Iron Man. Iron Man really started the MCU on a really great foot. And I remember I knew Iron Man through the comics a little bit, just knew that he was in a metal suit. I didn't know anything really about the character Tony Stark that much. And then, boy, this movie made Tony Stark I think the greatest character ever created in the MCU. And Robert Downey Jr. gives the best performance. The greatest character that he's ever done, and I said my favorite character in the MCU, and boy, what a great great casting there. He is so funny as a character, yet he has some good dramatic moments as well. And Rob Downey Jr. is able to do all the comedy, the drama. Looks great, fast talking, great dialogue that he has in there. And then the action sequences are really well done. I love the whole sequence of him escaping, captivity. It was really fun. And then when he goes back and he takes out these terrorists, some very creative stuff. And then I just love the whole him trying to build the suit and his flying for the first time. A lot of fun stuff here, like I said. And Gwyneth Paltrow is great here. Kind of the future love interest as well. Jon Favreau, of course, directed and has a part here. Terrence Howard, I thought, was actually really good at Rhodey, even though this is the only time he ever played the character. He never comes back for the other movies. Jeff Bridges, I think, great as the villain. Yeah, really good cast here overall. And yeah, this was just a perfect way to start the MCU with Iron Man, with Robert Downey Jr. Like, he really makes the MCU great, and it's a perfect combination here. Number 61, I have Wall-E, one of my favorite Pixar movies. And this one surprised me because the story didn't look that great when I first saw the trailer. But then I think my sister saw it first, and she said, "Oh, it's great. You have to see it." And so I was like, okay. So I watched it, and yeah, I absolutely loved it. It is the best love story, and it's two robots. And I can't say it's enough. It's like one of the best love stories I've ever seen, where I really believe in this love story between two robots that can't even speak really English or anything. Wall-E can say is, Wall-E. He can say his name, and Eva, which is the girl robot. He only says a couple words. She can say Wall-E as well. Yet, I don't know, there's something very sweet about the first time he sees Eva and he totally falls in love. He's a robot, and somehow they're robots, but yet he's the male and she's the female because he's all blocky, she's all smooth, and so you get the masculine feminines kind of through that. And just him just keeps, all he wants to do is hold her hand. It's just so sweet. And every time he tries and he fails, you feel so bad for Wall-E. And then there's of course the whole story on the ship and what's going on there. And they're trying to start, they're trying to find plant life so they can go back and repopulate Earth, because all of humankind lives on the ship and they all got fat and lazy. It's all an interesting storyline as well, but it's really just about Wall-E and Eva, and how Eva finally comes around to loving Wall-E. And that end when they touch heads and it's like a kiss. Oh my gosh, it is so wonderful. I absolutely love it. It's, just a really fun, cute story. And I really enjoyed it. Number 60, we have The Way, Way Back. This was another one that surprised me. I didn't know, it was kind of a little known movie, I felt like. It wasn't really well advertised, I feel like. And then I saw it, my dad saw it first, and he said, oh, you should see it, it's pretty good. I saw it, and I was like, wow, this is way better than I expected. And it's a story of a kid who, is with his mom, and they're going on vacation with her boyfriend, played by Steve Carell. I should say the main character is named Liam James. His mom is Toni Collette in here, and I said Steve Carell is like the boyfriend. We have Allison Janney as kind of a neighbor, and so this boy Duncan, he's very, he's not very happy with of course his parents not being together, and he gets made fun of. Him. He's kind of a somewhat introverted, quiet guy that doesn't get along in social situations as well, and hates. I mean, the very first scene, you hate Steve Carell's character, and you see why Duncan hates him. And then he comes across Sam Rockwell's character Owen, and this is such a great performance. It should have been nominated for an Oscar. As in Sam Rockwell is so good in this movie that every time I see Sam Rockwell, I'm always excited to see him in the movie just because of this movie, because I'm like, this is such a great performance. And it's kind of like Tony Stark, it's very funny, yet he has some good dramatic moments, but he's mostly just kind of a goof-off character who's always doing comedy stuff, and he's very fast-talking, very witty guy. But he takes Duncan under his wing, and he works at a water park. And he takes him under his wing, and and Maya Rudolph's like the boss, and they hire him to kind of work at this water park because he has nothing else to do. I guess he's there for the summer or something. And so he takes him in, and he kind of helps, get him to come out, because he's so introverted, and he's there for him. And I don't know, he's such a good influence on Duncan that Duncan finally tells him, what's wrong, what bothers him. And it's such a great moment when he does kind of reveal what's going on. And Owen's so supportive and such a good friend. It's such a good relationship. It's almost this, not a father-son relationship maybe, but I don't know. It's almost like just a mentor relationship that's really great. And I love that. And how he stands up for Duncan. And he really helps him come out of his shell. That's what I was trying to say. He really helps him come out of his shell, and helps him make friends, and gives him a good time while he's there when he's so miserable being with his mom and her boyfriend anyways. So it's a funny movie with some good heart in it anyways. And I just feel so bad for Duncan, the character, and I just love that he finally makes a good friend here anyways in this movie. So really, really surprisingly great movie. Again, if you haven't seen it, watch The Way, Way Back. I think such a great movie. At 15.9, I have Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. This was such a, of course, it's a big franchise now, but we didn't know. It was just a amusement ride or whatever at Disneyland, and Disney started putting out these, different amusement park rides into movies. And Pirates of the Caribbean, I always thought it would be, I don't feel like I've ever seen a really good pirate movie. And I always think pirates are kind of interesting, and that genre could be really good. And finally, we got, I think, probably the best one out of this one, Pirates of the Caribbean, and one of the best performances we've seen in Johnny Depp. Again, kind of the same as I've been talking about these other characters. I love these guys that are very funny and very memorable. And Johnny Depp's in this movie, it's just so memorable. Captain Jack Sparrow. I mean, what a great character. He was nominated for Best Actor for basically being a comedic role. That's just how good he is. Just totally losing himself. I mean, great makeup work and everything, but he just totally was this character. And it felt like after this movie, he was always Jack Sparrow in interviews and everything. He just kind of took it almost to heart. Great casting, best performance by Johnny Depp. I think Johnny Depp is always going to be remembered for being Jack Sparrow. That's definitely his biggest character and most popular character he's ever done. That's what really makes this movie. Like, first time you see Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow, he's hilarious. Just the way he talks and his physicality is so great. Yeah, that's what really makes this movie great, is Johnny Depp's performance here. But you got good stuff like Orlando Bloom, kind of the main character here, the hero. Jeffrey Rush is the villainous pirate. It's so good. He makes such a great pirate. Great casting there as well. Keira Knightley, first time I've ever seen her in a movie playing, the female lead, and she is so beautiful. And so many other great character actors in here as well that do such a good job. And it's a really good kind of fantasy story. And I love a good sci-fi fantasy story, as you can see. So I love that it combines a great fantasy kind of story, sci-fi story of these pirates of the Black Pearl that are dead, and they have they're cursed because of this gold that they stole, and that they have to find this one, the kid, the son or daughter of Bootstrap Bill, and they have to shed their blood and this last coin, and then they can relieve the curse. It's a really good story overall, I think. And the special effects are amazing when they turn into the bones of the dead, and all that. And it's just a really funny movie. And the sword fighting scenes are really good as well. Great score by Hans Zimmer, of course, comes through with the score. And I think just has a really great, satisfying ending as well. And I just love how it all kind of turns out. So yeah, this is here because it's one of the funnest movies I think I've ever seen. And I just remember just coming away so happy after this movie. Now, number 58 is a much different movie, and this is Hacksaw Ridge. Very serious World War II drama based on a true story of a book. I read the book of the person as well, about Desmond Dawes. And yeah, it's a really interesting story. He was a medic during World War II who was a conscientious objector. He would not kill anybody, so he would not touch a gun, yet he's in war, so it's like, how can he go to war without touching a gun? But yeah, he wanted to be a medic. He wanted to save people, but he didn't want to take any lives, and how he was very bullied because of that, and everybody looked down on him because of that. And yet he came through and he saved so many lives, and he was so heroic and brave without killing anybody. I mean, it's such an amazing story and done so well here. It's incredibly well shot. Great acting, especially Andrew Garfield as Desmond Dawes. Definitely his best performance. Got nominated for Best Actor. Very well deserved. I would even give him the Oscar. And anytime I see Andrew Garfield, I think he's just so good an actor. And this was the first one I'm like, well, not the first one. Social Network, probably the first one. But this is definitely one of those I'm like, because he did like Spider-Man and all that. And then he does this. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's such a good actor. And it's such an emotional movie. And that's why I love it so much. And of course, the action sequences where they're at war are very, violent and disturbing and all that. But I just love this character and how he sacrifices, or he risks his life to try to save others, and no care of his own life. He just wants to save everybody else, and he won't stop until he saves as many people as he can. And just that scene where he keeps going back into battle to find another survivor, and he keeps saying, God, please let me save another. And he goes back and saves somebody. And then, God, please let me save another. Oh my gosh, so wrenching, so emotional. It's like, and you just feel, wow, what a guy, to do all that. And you did in real life, and they show it in this movie. A great, honor to this, one of the best soldiers we've ever had, best American we've ever had. that is a hero. Anyway, so it's great seeing this story of this real life hero and what he did to and the difficult circumstances he had to go through to do this, and how he was able. God used him to save people in this situation. So yeah, really great story, really well made, great performances as well throughout. Anyway, so yeah, great World War II movie here with Hacksaw Ridge. And I don't have a lot of World War II movies on my list. I'm not a big war movie, but I think that was just so well done. 57, I have The Count of Monte Cristo, another movie I think is underrated. I don't know if people talk about this enough. It's obviously a famous story from Alexander Dumas, I believe his name is, who did like The Three Musketeers and like The Count of Monte Cristo he wrote. And this one is done so well. It's a great story, of course, from the book. We have Edmund, and who is falsely imprisoned, and then he gets out, and then he wants to get revenge against his former best friend who put him in prison because he was jealous and wanted his girlfriend. And then he finds this, through a contact in prison, he goes and finds buried treasure and becomes filthy rich and uses it to basically ruin the life of his former friend, and totally changes his look. And it's been like 10 years, so he doesn't remember him, or he looks a little different, I guess. But he changes his whole look, becomes this Monte Cristo character. He puts on this fake character in order to kind of scheme against his friend Fernand, who's played by Guy Pearce, who does a good job. And Jim Caviezel is so good as Edmund. He's one of my favorite actors, and he was so good here. And he's done so many good movies during this time period, and this is one of my favorite. But yeah, I love the whole story of, revenge, and, he's trying to let go of the past, and try to forgive is very difficult for him. And the action sequences are really good. There's some good sword fighting here as well. And I love the whole escape from prison scene is really good. Is good too. And yeah, it's just a really great story, and you just really feel for the character, and you really love seeing him get over on his former friend who tried to ruin him. And you love to see him get his comeuppance at the end anyway. So yeah, just a great story, great acting, really well shot. Number 56, we have Anchorman, the Will Ferrell movie, Adam McKay directing and writing with Will Ferrell. I know it's called like the story of Ron Burgundy or something like that, Anchorman. This is one of the funniest movies ever made, and that's why it's one of my favorite all-time comedies. And I didn't see it in the theater, actually. I saw it at a friend's house. And I remember my friend said, "Oh, man, it's so funny." And I was with some other friends, and we were watching it. And I just laughed so hard. Like, I've never laughed that hard watching a comedy. Like, there's very few comedies I've laughed that hard while watching it. And maybe because I was with my friends and we're all laughing together. But, I mean, I just could not believe how funny it was. And Will Ferrell as the Ron Burgundy character is this kind of 70s anchorman, news anchorman, and stay classy, San Diego, is all his catchphrases. And there's so many great lines throughout this movie. And just, it seemed like they were just improvising on the spot so many times. It was just, and a great cast. I mean, you got Steve Carell here, as well as Paul Rudd, David Koechner. That group is so funny together. And so many moments where you're like, where did they come up with these moments? Story-wise, it's not like the greatest story. It's just, this newswoman wants to be an anchor woman, but it's a man's world, and then he falls in love with her, and then he's, anyway, all this stuff happens, and then they kind of hate each other, and then he's trying to ruin each other's careers, but then they come back together. Anyways, story-wise is not the strongest. What's so strong is just that the comedy bits throughout and the different things that they come up with. Two of the funniest ones is probably the news kind of gang battle that all of a sudden he comes across this other news studio that they are the rivals. Vince Vaughn heads this other crew, and so they're gonna have a gang fight. But then all these the PBS crew, the Mexican crew, And they have this big battle where they have really dangerous weapons and like they can really kill people. Luke Wilson's in here. Ben Stiller shows up. Tim Robbins. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Like, who would have thought news teams having a big old gang fight? It's crazy and it's so hilarious. And the aftermath is so funny too. Like, ooh, that escalated quickly. It jumped up a notch. And I killed a guy. It is so good. And then the scene where they start singing "Afternoon Delight." He starts telling him how what's like to be in love. And he starts singing "Afternoon Delight," and then they all come in and harmonize. Those two scenes are so brilliant and some of the funniest things I've ever seen in a movie. That's why it's so high up here. It's a movie I've seen so many times, and I just die laughing every time. It's, I think, one of Will Ferrell's best performances, and I'm a big Will Ferrell fan. So, yeah, this is definitely one of those. I don't know if I have too many comedies in here, but this is one of the best ones of the last 25 years. All right, number 55, I have Spider-Man Across the Universe. Yeah, this is another one where I wasn't expecting that much out of. And then this was a recent movie too that just came out not too long ago. Just barely made the cut of the list. And wow, was it so good? Like, I thought Into the Spider-Verse was okay. I wasn't like as crazy about it. It was an interesting idea, interesting like visual style. But the second one, this sequel, Across the Universe, is really good. Like, I thought the story was so good with the villain and how he grows stronger and how he becomes a really formidable villain. But the dialogue is so funny in here. Like, I love a lot of the dialogue in here. But the visual style is so good too. And I love how they use different animated styles depending on what universe, Spider-Man universe they go to. And I love how they introduce characters in each universe, like this, the comic book way they do it. It's really great and just genius, I think, throughout. And I love that the consequences of the first movie, what he does in the first movie, Miles Morales, we see the consequences in this movie and how it affects the universe, and all the other Spider-Mans from other universe have to come and do something about it because of what Miles Morales did, something that he wasn't supposed to do, and how he created a villain. Because what he did, he created this very powerful villain. Like, I thought that was such great storytelling. I love his relationship with Spider-Gwen. I think is great as well. I love those two together. And I love the Indian Spider-Man is great. The punk Spider-Man. I love all these versions of different Spider-Mans. It's just genius. And animated-wise, incredible. Like, some of the best animation I've ever seen in a movie. In one scene, they have just hundreds of Spider-Men walking around. And it's like, I don't know how they did it. It's incredible. But yeah, it's just a perfect movie of animation, action, and comedy I think I've ever seen in a movie. So that's why it's a new movie, yet it's really high on my list here. Almost making my top 50. But here, number 55. Number 54, we're going with Wreck-It Ralph. Another one of my favorite Pixar movies. A movie that's really grown on me. I saw it in the movie theater. I thought it was okay. But I'm somewhat disappointed because I was wanting to see more like Super Nintendo characters or, other big characters. But this kind of was more about creating new characters and kind of, you do see cameos from other characters, like from Street Fighter, and I think Bowser maybe is in here or something like that, and Donkey Kong. So you get some other characters, but it's mostly about the new characters, including Ralph, and this new video game that doesn't exist in the real world. And I love the world building. I love the whole idea. Again, I love these premises where, what if the video game characters were, they hung out at night when the arcade shuts down and all these characters from the different video games hang out, and what do they do? What do they talk about? And stuff like that. And like, so they come up with some really brilliant ideas, like Ralph being in like an AA type meeting where it's about villains and trying to be okay with being a villain, and he's not okay with being a villain. He wants to be the hero, but they're like, I'm not that bad or something. They have this whole saying. I love all that. But as I rewatch this movie, I've fallen more and more in love with it because I love when he goes into that candy racing game and he meets Penelope, whatever. And I actually do love that relationship that they have, even though she's kind of an annoying character. I do love that relationship that they have, this kind of friendship that they have, and how he tries to help her and she tries to help him, and how that all happens. I love all the video game characters they introduce, especially I have to see what this character is. Jane Lynch's character is what I'm thinking of, Calhoun. I love her. She's this, comes from a shoot 'em up game, and she has all these, very tough. She talks real tough and has all these sayings and stuff. And I thought that character was so funny. I definitely like that. But I mean, a lot of good stuff here. John C. Reilly is so great as Ralph. Jack McBrayer is Felix. Sarah Silverman is Vanellope. Alan Tudyk is really great as King Candy as well. So yeah, great voice acting here overall. And yeah, I love that story. I think it's a very funny movie as well, and great animation. And then the last sequence I thought was so well done. How they revealed the villain. It was so good because they introduced the idea of turboing early in the movie, and you're like, what's that, turboing? And then you find out what it means and who that is and how that comes across at the end. And the villain reveal is so good, I think. And that last sequence and how they defeat the villain, really cleverly done. And I don't know, it's just kind of a sweet movie, kind of the relationship, like I said, like Ralph and Vanellope have. And the reveal of that character too was really great because you find out what the backstory of that character is, which you didn't realize there was a big backstory to that character and what happened to her. And that was great. And then at the end, where he just doesn't mind being the villain, all he cares about is when he gets tossed off the building in this video game, that he gets to look across the arcade and see Vanellope in her video game, and that makes him happy because his friendship. Anyways, so yeah, it's actually a very well written movie, very funny, very heartwarming at the same time. And I do love video games, so I do love that aspect of. I love the premise of the whole idea of the whole thing is great as well. So yeah, really really great Pixar movie here. Number 53, Phantom of the Opera, one of my all-time favorite musicals. Again, I already talked about Chicago, and I'll definitely talk about some other, probably, I know I have at least one more big musical, but yeah, this one really blew me away on the music, and it's one of my favorite because I've heard of Phantom of the Opera. I knew that was like a big musical on Broadway, but never really heard the music before. Didn't know anything about it. And then I went and saw the movie actually with my girlfriend at the time. And I was like, holy cow, this music is so good. I mean, it's a story, whatever. It's, this phantom who stalks this girl and kind of in love with her, I guess, and teaches her how to sing and all this. And he's the Phantom of the Opera, and he's kind of this almost ghost story kind of thing. And you have to do what he says or he will kill people. But it really comes down to the music. The music is so good with, Music of the Night is so good. Phantom of the Opera, of course. Somehow Here Again, I think, is one of her songs. The Point of No Return. Masquerade, probably my favorite sequence. The song is so good. The costuming is so good. Oh my gosh. Great costuming. The visuals are great. The set designs are amazing. And when they're singing, going down that staircase, singing that Masquerade song with flower petals falling down, visually some of the best stuff I've ever seen. And there's so many other great songs. I mean, there's just one great song after another, and that's what makes it one of my favorite musicals. Is just I think it's some of the best music. I mean, it's not more complicated than that. The music is amazing. The singing is amazing. And again, but visually, it's a great movie as well. So that's why it's here at number 53. Number 52, another one of my favorite animated movies of all time. This is Kung Fu Panda. And Jack Black again. As I said, School of Rock, his best live action performance. But you can also say his performance, voice acting, is so good here as Po, the panda. And it's definitely one of his biggest characters because he's done, 4 or 5 movies now with this character in a TV series. So definitely one of the best things Jack Black has done. It's such a great character. He wants to be he wants to know Kung Fu. He wants to learn Kung Fu. He wants to be taught Kung Fu. And then he accidentally gets picked as their dragon warrior. But everybody's like, he's just a fat panda who's lazy. Like, how can he be it? Anyways, and so they have to train him. And it's really good homage to old Kung Fu movies. And I'm a big fan of old Kung Fu movies. I used to watch them growing up, and to this day, always get a kick out of them. So I thought this had a lot of the tropes of the old Kung Fu movies. In fact, the Furious Five, whatever, all the different styles of Kung Fu, like the monkey, the snake, the tiger, those are all different styles. The swan or whatever, the praying mantis, those are all Kung Fu styles. So I love how they made those into characters. And Dustin Hoffman's really good as the master who has to teach. And that's even a great like kind of friendship that they kind of create. I say at first he hates him because he doesn't think he should be the Dragon Warrior. He thinks one of his students should be, but then he actually kind of grows to like Poe, and Poe grows to like him, and they form a good friendship that really works at the end. Also has a great villain, Tai Lung, I think his name is. It's so good here. Ian McShane. Ian McShane is such a great voice for this villain character, Tai Lung. And that whole prison escape scene, probably my favorite scene in the whole movie, is so well done. And again, the kung fu action scenes are really well done, I think, for this animation. And Poe is such a great character. He's so likable, and Jack Black is so funny. It's, again, one of those movies that is so funny, yet action's good, and the story, I think, is really good. And this kind of, underdog inspirational story I like behind, this guy feels like he's a loser, Poe does. Everybody makes him feel like a loser, but then once he believes himself and everybody believes in him, and like this idea that, there's no secret formula. That's, I guess I'm spoiling it, but there's no secret formula to being great, just being you, you can be great, there's no secret. Anyways, I love the whole premise of that anyways, but yeah, I don't know. This movie I just get such a kick out of because of the kung fu part of it, and just a great comedy movie as well. Yeah, so it's one of my favorite anime movies, so it's up here at number 52. So we have one more movie to talk about at 51. Rounding up the bottom 50 of the list, we have The Avengers Age of Ultron, another MCU movie. This is the second of the Avengers movies, and I think it's very underrated. A lot of people gave really bad reviews of this movie, and I don't get it. I thought it was great, and I rewatch it. I think it's better and better on rewatches. I love the whole Avenger crew, of course. I love the team up aspect of it. And I think James Spader as Ultron is a great villain, one of the best villains in the series, maybe my favorite villain. Other than the main villain, but I think better than some of the other villains that we've seen. As this kind of killer, AI robot that's very sinister with James Spader, and I love the whole premise of like he's gonna take a part of the Earth and raise it up, and then plump it back down like a meteorite and like destroy all humankind. It's actually a really good villain premise overall. And I don't know what to say except that it is a little too long maybe, and that's why it gets criticism. It could have been shortened up a little bit, but still, I love the characters. I love the action sequences, especially at the very end where they're fighting that army of robots. I think is so good. It's great slow motion action in there. So many new characters as well introduced in this movie, but it's also very funny. I love the combination of great action sequences and humor here, and a great villain story. It's a fun movie that I always get a kick out of, and I think way better than what people give it credit for. I think it's one of the best in the MCU. It's like in my top 10 for sure, maybe top 5 almost, like favorite movies. Maybe not top 5, but it's pretty close. It's in my top 10 for sure. Favorite movies in the MCU. Yeah, and there's other great Avenger movies coming up as well. I love the whole series of the Avengers anyway. So, Avengers Age of Ultron, rounding out the list at 51. So, yeah, that's my 75 through 51 on the list. A lot of movies to go through. Hopefully, I know I'm over an hour on this list. It's hard to get through them all. I should try to do as quickly as I can by giving all my information I can on why I love these movies anyway. So, but please comment what do you think about these movies I've talked about, which ones you've seen, which ones you like as well. Love to see your comments. Besides that, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for liking it. And thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate it all and hope you have a good day.